Hello and welcome to this webinar about AQA's Power and Conflict Poetry Anthology for Years 10 and 11. We are looking at Bayonet Charge by Ted Hughes. We're looking at poetic form and structure, imagery and language, and understanding a little bit about the context of the poem. Now, Bayonet Charge starts in media res. That means it starts straight away. It's the story of a young man running for his life. He's in the middle of no man's land and he's heading for a green hedge, which seems to signify safety, but actually it still has an element of danger because there is gunfire and explosions even in the green hedge. Now this poem is written in free verse and there's enjambment and lots of listing, and this intensifies the rage and the pace and the severity and brutality of war. Each stanza, and there are only 3, are only 7 or 8 lines long, which represents the brevity of time. The soldier barely has time to think, and as he thinks and forgets why he's fighting, an awful fate seems to await him. And really the poem questions survival and how it replaces ideals like courage and patriotism. As he is dashing across no man's land into the green bush, the soldier sees a hare, and the hare really represents him. There's been a lot of debate about the hare. Is the hare a real hare? Because lots of the trenches have been dug up and the animal world has suffered. Is the hare a representation of him and symbolic of his distress and helplessness? Or is the hare a figment of his own imagination and a demonstration of his fear? Now let's consider some of the imagery and language. Now, Hughes uses personification and onomatopoeia in the quotation, bullets smacking the belly out of the air. Now, when you punch someone in the stomach or smacking the belly out of the air, it's an aggressive and forceful act that's not playing by the rules. You should punch above the waistline. So it's showing really the aggression, the violence, the kind of malice of this environment where bullets are like bullies. It also, the simile, the rifle numb as a smashed arm, is suggesting that the rifle is completely useless, almost as useless as a broken limb, because he is in defense mode rather than attack. And then the hyperbole, like molten iron from the center of his chest, is talking about his sweat and how hot he is. But it's also dehumanizing him. He's nothing but a machine, because inside him all there is iron in the center of his chest. His heart is no longer there. His emotions and his compassion have been ripped out. We have this metallic image and kind of funereal furnace imagery with the young man, and that contrasts with the yellow hair. It's mouth wide open and silent. So the contrast between the machine of the man and the horrific yellow hair that is mouth open and yet silent is showing that they are victims in different ways. One has been completely dehumanized and the other one has been stripped of his ability to communicate and to protest. The last few items of imagery and language are really about rhetorical questions. The writer poses this question: in what cold clockwork of the stars was he the pointing hand? If you look from a bird's eye view, it's as if the soldier with his bayonet is almost like the pointing hand of a clock, and the idea of cold clockwork and the stars shows that he's ill-fated. He's been born at the wrong time and chosen to die for no reason. And then finally, this list, asyndetic list, king, honor, human dignity, etc., just intensifies that sense of fear and pain and distress in the battle, where he no longer believes in what he is fighting for, but just wants to survive. I think it's key to understand, finally, that this is set in World War I, where soldiers went over the top into no man's land. And the poet's father was a war veteran, and he was really emphasizing how these young men are turned into dangerous weapons. They experience experienced the terrible dangers of warfare. And he also examines the nature of victimhood, these young men as victims, but also the animals in the natural world as victims of war. Thank you for joining me. I hope that's helped you understand it much more. And goodbye.